Have you ever looked at something and felt certain that it had to mean something? A symbol, a message, a coincidence, a pattern. Our minds are incredibly good at connecting dots. Sometimes they're so good, they connect dots that were never there. For more than 600 years, one book has challenged kings, historians, cryptographers, linguists, and now, artificial intelligence. Thousands have tried to read it. No one has succeeded. Not because the pages are missing, not because the ink has faded, but because no one can even agree what language it's written in. It has been called the world's most mysterious book. But perhaps the greatest mystery was never hidden inside its pages. Perhaps it's hidden inside us. This channel doesn't promise answers, because some mysteries aren't valuable for the answers they give. They're valuable for the questions they leave behind. Tonight, we open one of history's strangest books. A book that has survived wars, crossed continents, confused the brightest minds of every generation, and still refuses to reveal its story. This is the Voynich Manuscript. Imagine walking into an old library. Dust floats through the afternoon light. Shelves are filled with books written in Latin, Greek, Hebrew, languages scholars have studied for centuries. Then, you notice one book. It looks medieval. Its pages are made of fine vellum. The ink appears authentic. The illustrations seem carefully drawn. Everything about it feels real. Except, nothing inside makes sense. Every page is filled with elegant handwriting, thousands upon thousands of words. Not a single sentence can be read. The letters resemble a language, but no one has ever found another document written the same way. It's as if an entire civilization left behind only one book, and then disappeared forever. The manuscript is believed to have been created in the early 15th century. Carbon dating places the vellum somewhere between 1404 and 1438. That means the book is genuine. It isn't a modern forgery. Someone more than 600 years ago spent years creating it. The pages are filled with strange sections. Plants that don't seem to exist. Astronomical diagrams unlike anything historians recognize. Women bathing in mysterious green pools connected by impossible pipes. Circular maps, unknown symbols. Endless paragraphs written in an alphabet found nowhere else on Earth. Whoever created this book believed they were writing something meaningful. The question is, meaningful to whom? Centuries later, the manuscript eventually found its way into the hands of a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich. He purchased it in Italy in 1912. The moment scholars saw its pages, they became obsessed. Some claimed it described unknown medicinal plants. Others believed it contained astronomical knowledge centuries ahead of its time. Some insisted it was an elaborate cipher. Others argued it wasn't a cipher at all, but a completely forgotten language. Decades later, computers joined the search. Then, artificial intelligence. Algorithms capable of processing millions of possibilities in seconds. Yet the manuscript remained silent. Not because technology had failed, but because technology can only search for answers when it knows what it's searching for. And perhaps that's what makes the Voynich Manuscript so unsettling. It's not simply a puzzle. It's a puzzle that refuses to tell us what kind of puzzle it is. Was it meant to be read? Was it meant to deceive? Or have we been asking the wrong question from the very beginning? For more than a century, people have tried to solve the Voynich Manuscript. And the strangest part isn't that they failed. It's how many times they believed they had succeeded. One of the earliest serious ideas was simple. Perhaps the manuscript was written in a real language, just one that had been forgotten. It sounds reasonable.
After all, history is filled with languages that disappeared. But there was a problem. The text didn't behave quite like any known language. Words appeared in strangely consistent patterns. Some symbols occurred far more often than others. Certain words appeared again and again, sometimes only a few lines apart. It looked organized, almost too organized, which led researchers toward another possibility. Maybe it wasn't a language at all. Maybe it was a code. And if it was a code, someone had deliberately hidden the meaning. That idea transformed the manuscript from an ancient curiosity into a challenge. Then came an even more uncomfortable possibility. What if there was no secret message? What if the manuscript was created to look meaningful? A medieval hoax, a beautifully constructed deception, designed to convince someone that the pages contained knowledge they didn't actually contain. We often mistake complexity for intelligence. We see a complicated chart and assume the person who made it understands the subject. We see technical language and assume the argument must be sophisticated. We see thousands of words and assume there must be thousands of ideas behind them. But complexity is not the same thing as meaning. And this is where the Voynich Manuscript becomes more interesting, because the mystery isn't only what does this book say, it's also why are we so certain that it says something at all? There is something deeply human about that temptation. When we encounter something we don't understand, uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Our minds want closure. A blank space feels incomplete. So we fill it. We connect one possibility to another. We create a story. And once the story feels coherent, something strange happens. We begin to mistake coherence for truth. Think about how this works today. You open your phone, a headline appears. You read one sentence, then another. A few comments, a video, a reaction. Within minutes, you have formed an opinion about something you knew nothing about an hour earlier. Not because you investigated every piece of evidence, but because the information formed a story that felt complete. The internet didn't invent this behavior. It simply gave it an unlimited supply of material. 600 years ago, a mysterious manuscript gave people a puzzle. Today, we have billions of puzzles arriving every day. News, statistics, scientific studies, opinions, predictions, videos, images, AI-generated content, arguments from people who sound certain, even when they disagree completely. We have more information than any civilization in human history. And yet, having more information has not necessarily made us better at understanding the world. In some ways, it has made the problem harder, because when information was scarce, the challenge was finding it. Now, the challenge is deciding what deserves to survive our attention. And that changes the nature of the problem. The question is no longer simply, what can I know? It becomes, what should I believe? And perhaps even more importantly, what is worth knowing? The Voynich Manuscript gives us an uncomfortable preview of this problem. Each approach can reveal something, but none can guarantee understanding. Because information can be analyzed, without being understood. A pattern can be discovered without knowing what the pattern means. And a convincing explanation can still be completely wrong. Perhaps this is why the manuscript has survived as a mystery for so long. Not because humans are incapable of solving it, but because humans are exceptionally good at finding something to explain. We don't like empty spaces. We don't like unanswered questions. And we especially don't like admitting that we don't know. The Voynich Manuscript has survived for 6 centuries, but perhaps its most modern lesson has nothing to do with the Middle Ages. It has to do with us. Because we are now living through a strange moment in human history, a moment when almost every answer is only a search away. Yet knowing which answer deserves our trust has become harder than ever. And perhaps that is where the real mystery begins. For most of human history, knowledge was difficult to obtain. A book had to be copied by hand. A teacher had to be found. A journey had to be made. A question might remain unanswered for an entire lifetime. Today, we carry access to more information in our pockets than the greatest libraries in history could have imagined. And yet, many of us feel overwhelmed by it, not because we know too little, but because we don't know what to ignore. The problem with information is that it doesn't come with a label saying, "This is important," or "This is true," or "You can safely forget this." Everything arrives looking equally urgent. A breaking news alert, a scientific discovery, a stranger's opinion, a conspiracy theory, a carefully researched documentary, a fact from 10 years ago, presented as if it happened yesterday. All of it competes for the same thing, our attention. And attention is finite. This is where the story of the Voynich Manuscript begins to feel strangely familiar. 600 years ago, someone created a book filled with information we cannot interpret. Today, we live surrounded by information we can read, but often don't know how to interpret. The problem has changed. The human challenge hasn't. We are still standing in front of a mountain of information, trying to decide what it means.
And perhaps the answer isn't to know more. Perhaps we need something else, something the manuscript itself cannot give us. Because information may tell us what exists, but it cannot tell us what matters. That requires judgment. And judgment requires more than information. It requires something we rarely talk about until we realize how much we need it: wisdom. And perhaps wisdom begins with 3 simple things: knowledge, attitude, and taste. Not taste in the sense of fashion, or luxury, or knowing what looks beautiful. It is something much more useful. The ability to recognize what deserves your attention and what doesn't. But before we can understand that, we have to confront one of our oldest weaknesses: our need to have an answer. Because sometimes, the wisest thing a person can say is not, "I know." It is, "I don't know yet." And perhaps that is exactly where the Voynich Manuscript has been waiting for us all along. This channel does not offer answers, because some mysteries aren't here to be solved. They're here to remind us how little we truly know. And perhaps the most important mysteries were never hidden in the world around us. They were hidden in the way we see it. If this story made you question something you thought you already understood, subscribe to the Myth Echoes. There are more mysteries waiting, and perhaps some of them are closer to us than we think.